All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to tear down this really cool open source project called the GitHub Stats Dashboard. We're going to look at what it is, how it actually works under the hood, and, where it's headed. It's pretty ambitious.
So let me just start by asking you a question. And I think this probably hits close to home for a lot of us. When you're trying to figure out how your projects are really doing, like their actual growth, are the stats GitHub gives you enough? Do they really tell the whole story?
And that kind of brings us to this number right here, 14 days. This is the big catch with GitHub's API for traffic data. You only get a 2-week window. So if you want to see trends over a few months or even a year, nope, you're kind of out of luck. And that is the exact problem this dashboard was built to fix.
Okay, so let's start peeling back the first layer of this thing. We'll begin with what you actually see and play with as a user, the dashboard experience itself.
So the whole idea of the dashboard is to give you an instant health check on all your repos. It's tracking all the key stuff you see here, views, clones, stars, even how many PRs are open. And it lays it all out in this really clean, easy-to-scan format for every single one of your projects. And a really core part of the experience is this two-view system. You start off in what's called the card view, right? That's for the quick overview we just talked about. But here's the cool part. When you click on one of those cards, it does this super smooth expansion into a full-screen detail view. It's all done with Framer Motion, and it looks great. And that's where you get the real deep dive. The interactive charts, all the stats, the whole shebang.
Okay, so that's the slick front end. But where's all this data actually coming from? Let's go a little deeper, down to layer 2, the data engine.
So what makes this so fast is that the whole data flow happens right in your browser. Nothing is going to some central server. First, you just pop in your GitHub Personal Access Token. That kicks off a custom React hook, Use GitHub API, which then fires off a parallel fetch using promise.all. Now this is the key. It grabs all your repository data and the detailed stacks at the same time. It makes the whole process way faster before it paints the dashboard on your screen.
And look, for anyone thinking about security right now, and you definitely should be, this is probably the most important thing to know. The project was designed with a privacy-first mindset. Just like it says, your token is only ever stored in your browser's local storage. It's never sent to some third-party server. The only place it goes is directly to GitHub's API. For devs, that is a huge trust signal. Okay, you ready for the most advanced part of this tool? Let's dive into the deepest layer of all, the built-in multi-provider AI code analyst. This is where it gets really interesting.
What's so fantastic here is the flexibility. You are not locked into one specific AI model. The dashboard lets you bring your own API key and plug in your choice of brain, so to speak. Whether that's an open source model through OpenRouter, Google's Gemini, or OpenAI's GPT-4, you get to choose. You're in complete control.
And the way it does this analysis is actually pretty sophisticated. It doesn't just, dump your entire repository into one giant prompt. First, it scans the whole file tree. Then, and this is the smart part, it filters out all the noise. It knows to ignore stuff like node modules and just focus on the important source code. Only then does it build these really structured prompts to send to the AI, and finally, it shows you the analysis in a nice, clean UI. It's a very focused and intelligent approach.
So what's the actual payoff for all that? Well, it's this transformation right here. You go from staring at some complex piece of code to getting a clear, plain English summary of what it's supposed to do. Plus, it can point out potential bugs and give you real suggestions for how to optimize it. It basically turns raw code into actionable insights. Think about how much faster that could make code reviews, right? So, with all that functionality already packed in, you have to wonder, where does the project go from here? And that brings us to our final section, the vision for building what the creator calls the dream dashboard.
Looking ahead, the roadmap is really zeroing in on a few things that'll have a huge impact based on what users are asking for. Number 1, historical data storage. That would finally let us break free from that 14-day GitHub limit. Second, a simple one, but a big one, a dark and light theme toggle. And third, support for batches and entire organizations, which would take this from just a personal tool to something that entire teams could rely on.
So this is the ultimate goal, right? The dream dashboard. It's about creating a tool that stops just showing you numbers and starts giving you deep, actionable insights. The idea isn't just to tell you what happened in your repo, but to help you figure out what to do next.
And that really brings us to the end of our deep dive. The journey of this project is just a brilliant example of how a simple stats viewer can evolve into a potential AI copilot for developers. So I'll just leave you with this final thought.
If you were building it, what features would be in your dream dashboard?